Welcome to World Builders Anvil, episode 271. Let's build the plot so day one can follow, because you need the day for the plot for the day. So that's the plot episode.
Day.
Don't know where to start building your fantasy world?
Do you need more? Does it make sense?
Forget any worries and become a crafter of imagination.
This is the place where we will prime your mind.
Now it's time to heat up the forge.
Break out the mithril ingots and hammer.
Welcome to the World Builders Anvil. I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram.
And I'm Michael Miller.
Let's sup from the muck of Java and build. Welcome back. As always, I'm the Pippy Jeffrey W. Ingram.
And I am Loopy, Michael Miller.
So we're going to go for long stockings.
No. As in, like, I'm feeling loopy.
Yeah.
Since we're going to create a time loop plot.
Yes.
I thought I'd go with that.
And
I'm going to grab some paper here for this. I think I'm going to need to write a few things down.
Yep. That's probably a good idea, because I'll just tell you I'm going to, but then I never will.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're always lying to me. So.
No, I'm not.
That's really funny. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still laughing at that.
Okay. So see, here's the idea, right? You always have someone's intentions. This is the plot we are first developing. We also are going to have day one. Day one might or might not go according to plan. It's obviously a time loop. So the good thing is, especially if the character has a plan, it gives us two choices story-wise. We can let him achieve his plan and then it restarts, which is obnoxious in one way, or we can force him to deviate from the plan and then, make the time loop about the actual day, about actually getting, coming up with the correct plan to achieve his goal, and then probably screwing him over that way too. And I'm usually for screwing over players. I don't necessarily want to choose that until I know what Michael's plot is. To give everyone a quick background, the Loopy time plot takes place essentially in Bronze Age Germany, right? So it's a very unsophisticated culture, but they're starting to develop some sophistication. A lot of it is bleeding over from people who they interact, raid, and trade occasionally.
And just to be clear, it's not, because we are talking about some tabletop gaming. It's not actually Germany. He's just giving a comparison to what it's like in his world at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's definitely not medieval Germany. And now the thing is, to give everyone a background of what Michael knows at this point, his character, Sir Loopalot, is I believe his name.
Sir Loopalot.
Has actually been summoned to the king's court, because every good adventure starts with being summoned by a king. I don't know why, and which isn't exactly true, but is often true. Could you go fetch me the grail? Wait, that's a different story.
Quick aside, I got a buddy who he kind of runs. Well, he works at an Austrian-Hungarian club here in Connecticut, and we did work there. So he's just kept in touch with me. We got along real good.
They do know the Austrian-Hungarian Empire fell like a long time ago.
I don't think it's to celebrate the empire. I think it's just to joyously gather the people.
Okay.
So he shoots me. They do a movie night, and he shoots me an invitation to it. He just shows me the flyer. And it basically says that they were going to show the Passion of the Christ, but they are doing a substitute movie, and the substitute they chose is the Holy Grail.
I don't know Life of Brian. But
that's exactly what I said. I said it would have been funnier if they chose Life of Brian, but with its, because they were like, it was like, oh well, they thought it would be too intense because of the violence, and they wanted more accessible to children if people decide to bring their kids. And I'm just like, so you chose the Holy Grail with all the blasphemy? I've said it tons of times before, maybe or maybe not on the show. I don't know, but the thing that cracks me up about the Holy Grail really the most is you effectively have paladins. These are the king's knights blessed by God with a holy quest to retrieve
God himself,
a religious artifact. And, I don't know how you could define paladin any better. Now, obviously, they don't behave the way what you would expect a paladin to behave. But what cracks me up the most is that they're effectively paladins, and whenever anything goes wrong, the first thing any one of them says is, Jesus Christ! That's the first, Jesus Christ!
And I want to give Graham Chapman some credit here. I mean, he deserves a lot. But
oh, my God.
One of the major things is his cadence in delivering Jesus Christ as a phrase.
Yeah, that's true.
He is one of the more skilled, as Michael would call, blasphemers.
Yeah, his is the funniest. It definitely is. And there's something to that. There are some people, I'm more referring to comedians, I'm certainly actors too, that know how to swear in a way that not just gives more potency to the delivery, but also gives an element to it that other people can't. Like, some people swear and it's just like, oh, whatever. It's just it doesn't have a punch. People like Carlin knew how to swear in a way that really punctuated what he was saying. I mean, of course, we're talking about comedic genius. So
yeah, he had a certain je ne sais quoi about his swearing. So
absolutely. So anyway, I just had that aside because you said Holy Grail and it made me good.
Right. Okay.
Right. Kill the rabbit.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and flesh out day one. Michael does not know a lot about this area. Technically, he's been close to it. When we did the story of the heist story, which we're kind of building a heist plot here, even though it probably won't be nearly as sophisticated, it took place.
Sorry, you kind of warbled yourself. Did you say heist plot? Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you're making a reference to something that we already did on the show.
Exactly. And like I said, this is kind of in a way a heist plot, but being the type of people involved, it probably won't be a very sophisticated plot. It'll probably be something simple. Because the more elements you add in, really the more complicated it becomes, and military people don't like complications. But this actually...
Are you referring to yourself there, or are you referring to...
Any soldier. Okay. Yeah. And so what happens is in the future, this entire area, which is called the Citadel of Badrakis, gets flattened out and becomes essentially the palace where the Prince Hogar, I believe was the name of the prince in the heist story, he lived. Now, Michael didn't actually go to this spot, which is at that point part of the city. At this point, it's outside of the city of Badrakis a little bit, but it kind of overlooks strategically the city and on a hill.
So is it the same prince? Is that what you're saying?
No, this is like probably 1,000 years before that.
Oh, okay.
So it's not the same prince, but it's actually ground wise. This is where that prince's palace is. At this period of time, it looks nothing the same. To give people, there is a quick dirty map up with the show notes for episode 271. If you go to guardduel.com, go to episode 271, and there'll be a map there for the Citadel. It's actually an old hill town that was a Syrian town that essentially, when they took it, they converted it, which at the time had earthen ramparts at the top for defense. They added Badrachim walls, which are essentially stone walls with dirt piled in there. So it's slightly improved earthen mound. And then inside of that, where the villagers used to live, they built some homes that are for garrisons and troops, blacksmiths, certain essentials for the castle itself, storage for food and that kind of stuff, along with watchtowers to see out. Their tower building is not that sophisticated. It's not actually even connected to the walls at this point. They're actually watchtowers built just behind the walls inside of the fortification, so people can get in and out, but they have a really good view of the entire area around. So strategically, this is a very good area. There's the hill's been literally flattened out through excavation along the way. So it's very flat on top of the hill, except for where there was the little bit higher part of the hill. They flattened that out. That's where the manor house, or it's technically a keep, is built at this point. It's actually wooden. All the structures inside are wooden. These are Stone Age structures. They're not very sophisticated at all. This is not a giant stone castle as you would think about it, but it's still very heavily defended. If you're inside of there, you just win nefarious. There's essentially two ways in and out. One goes towards the city, and one goes towards the rest of the country.
So odds are I'm going to go with option number 2.
So there's a point in the middle, which basically is the only two places that allows you to get in and out. There's no real formal gate houses in this fortification. The walls just kind of end there. There's probably plans at this point to build gatehouses, but it's gathering up resources. This has not been finished yet. So, and then there's another road that kind of crosses it in the middle, one going to the manor house on top of the little hill inside of the hill, and the other one going the other direction, which is where a lot of the storehouses, servants, and garrisons stay at. Normally there are probably a couple hundred troops that permanently reside here, even though a couple thousand could probably be stored in here in time of war.
I assume you're going to put this map up with it, so yep. I'm hoping anybody listening is actually looking at the map while just making this description.
Exactly, and to give some more reference, legend-wise for Michael, there are a bunch of square buildings that have X's on the roof, which are thatched roofs. Those are the watchtowers. The other buildings are all a little bit larger, more permanent structures. There are a series of almost tent-like structures in here as well too. They're not displayed on the map just because of the time it would take to put everything in there. But those are all over in the smaller part of the castle where the Lord doesn't live, because he doesn't want the smelly peasants who serve him living too close to him either. So, yeah, but it's sort of a long hill. It's probably about a half a mile long, and then with another much smaller little hill on top of it to the east, which is important. And Bedrachum east is the most important direction. So, putting your keep there would be optimal, and it being more defensive is even more optimal. This is a good omen for a place to build a citadel.
It seems like you can always go east unless you've hit ocean. So, what's that perspective like?
What do you mean? You mean why is east important to them?
That's not what I was asking, but in a circumstance where they cannot go further east, is that best?
So the reason putting the keep on the east is preferable is more of a positioning thing. So east is important. So if you can find a area to build a fortification where the most fortified part is in the east, that is just good luck, in Bedrachum. It's not even like a religious necessity for them. They're not very concerned with alignment in general. They would go for whatever is more defensible. But when you can put both of those two together in a good strategic location like where this is, it's just really considered good luck.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so now the idea is Michael's been summoned to attend not the wedding, but the betrothal of his king Lear and one of the noble ladies of the land. And it is of the land. It's probably cementing a relationship with one of the more powerful dukes, which Michael will be making an enemy of here when he kills off his potential connection to the crown. But the idea is it's probably the king is marrying this lady to cement a relationship with another one of his powerful vassals, and then it helps
in a very real and legal way,
in a legally binding way. That's right. See how many references that will actually get fit in here, right?
So this is just effectively an engagement.
This is engagement. It's an important thing. sort of culturally, it should be witnessed. And he's showing off his power at the same time by summoning his vassals to him to witness this for him. Is sort of a way for him to display his muscles. All the big lords, coming to his land for this thing or whatever. Now, typically, you're all part of, you are a blood warrior for the king. So, you and all of his vassals have sworn a blood oath to him. So, in theory, you're all his retinue. And so you do have a little bit more accessibility within the castle, which makes things easier. Because it's not like, oh, you can't go there. But, you're one of the king's men. Outside of his bed chambers, you got a little bit more open running around than most people would in the castle. You won't be killed.
And we're saying castle, but we're talking about how big would you say that structure is? How many floors, first of all?
The castle itself is probably, the main part of the structure is probably about 3 stories.
Okay.
And then
not huge.
Not huge, but you're talking about the keep part of the castle, right? The main part. And then,
well, when you say castle, are you referring to this whole plateau?
The whole plateau is technically the castle.
Okay, so then I'm referring to the keep.
Yeah, so the keep itself is about three stories high, and then there's a tower. You see it's roofed in red on the map. That comes out. It goes up actually 2 more stories, sort of a hexagonal shaped tower.
Oh, okay. And is that for defense purposes, or is that that's where the king sleeps?
That is the top floor is for visibility. It is the tower. I think they would call it in a castle a donjon. It is the tallest tower at the most fortified part of the castle. So it's there for defensive purposes. The king's bedchamber is not in the tower, though. It's actually in the rest of the keep. It's on the 3rd floor, but it's in the rest of the keep. Behind the keep, actually not behind the keep, sort of right northwest of the keep, you'll see a couple trees and a little stone thing in the middle. That is actually the ceremonial grounds where the betrothal will take place.
Okay.
There's little trees to bring in nature. All of the trees here are fruit bearing. They're all essentially apple trees, one would think, with the climate or whatever the equivalent is thereof. That smaller building next to it is the old keep. That was the one that was originally built here. It's still there. There's only a couple of stories on that one, but
you give it a new purpose.
Yep, give it a new purpose. You probably once again storage. Some of his hired, his local garrison, his local retinue, his actual real men, the guys who he pays directly, not people like you or lords who work for him. Would stay there. But probably right there is probably the most visible point at which you will see him, with a maximum visibility. The most people will be
at the ceremony.
At the ceremony. All of the lords will be there. His retinue, troop-wise, that he maintains, will also probably all be there as well, too. It'd be very hard to get away if you make an action at that point, but it would make the maximum statement.
I hadn't thought about that. Does my character care about anything beyond the success of his goal?
That's a great question for you to ask yourself.
I think at first, maybe not. I think he assumes that it's a suicide mission.
Yeah, you're killing the king, and you're like a baron, essentially.
Right, and he's probably like, well, look, I don't have anything else, I think that could also be a point of the story, not only to learn forgiveness, but also gain understanding that this world has more for him.
Yeah. There's more to it than what has happened.
Or he has more for the world.
Either or. Okay. So day 1 here is Well, first of all, do you have a method of disposal?
Of the body or just or of killing?
Well, let's start off with killing the king. How do you plan to kill him? Do you just plan to like be the classic, stab him? And
I think stabbing is because I think he's, I think is it customary that I would have a blade on me at a function like this? My thought would be yes.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, this is the warrior culture. You're technically a warrior for this guy. In theory, if someone was to attack the castle at that point, you would be called
to arms. So I would imagine that I would not be dressed in full combat gear, though. Being a lord, I assume that he might have.
It'd be too heavy and hot. You'd probably
exactly. So, but maybe some light arms,
Yeah. I mean, you would probably have whatever your family weapon is with you. You would not be in like full armor. You might have a little bit of armor, but probably more leather or fur type of stuff, not actual what you would fight if you were going to battle. Even though maybe you've brought that with you, because one, you never know when a war is going to start, and two, you don't want to lose it. So I mean, it's expensive to replace. If orcs come and ransack your keep while you're gone, you don't want to lose your armor either. So it might not even be unusual for you to travel with it. So you probably would have your full gear with you, but it would be odd if you were walking around during the day in your full armor, even for the ceremony. It's a wedding ceremony. Yeah.
I kind of would expect him being a lord that there might be, something, not the equivalent of like a suit, but like at least some finer dress,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, you would have nicer robes and stuff like that. So
right, but still wouldn't be. Wouldn't be odd to have a knife though.
No, it would not be odd to have your family blade, with you. It might not be on you at the ceremony, but you'd almost definitely have a dagger because later on when you go to eat, that's your only eating utensil.
Okay, then obviously then it's going to be handshake the king, congratulations, and then stabby stabby stab.
Okay. Now is the stabby. So we'll say one, kill by stabby.
Mm-hmm. That will be first initial plan. So
that's all we're working on. This is your plan going into it.
Right. But my point is, I think that he's going to think that, once the loop begins, that the plan was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the natural deviation.
Right. He's going to go with that weird, obvious bit, not I'm doing the wrong thing, but I'm doing the right thing. I'm just doing it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. So I need to do this different, or maybe I'm supposed to survive because, they're happy with it, so they're letting me do it again because the first time I did, I died. Because of course, if he stabs him in front of everybody, the guards can grab him and execute him immediately. Is my thought. I mean, that's up to you, but that's my thought.
Oh yeah, no. If you get caught, even if the people don't mind, they're probably going to kill you. Because it would make them look bad that they were there, they let the king die, and they didn't do their duty. So even if they're going to squabble to try and take the throne afterwards, that's different.
Which of course, yeah. Of course they're going to.
Kill by stabby. So 2, and at the beginning you're thinking maximum exposure killing, so betrothal killing.
I don't think it's a case of exposure. I think it's a case of opportunity. So if that's going to be his easiest opportunity, where he can, 1, get close to the king, and 2, be close enough to the king where guards are not right next to him. So when he quickly draws a knife and starts stabbing the king. I
mean, there could be an opportunity, if you're walking around the keep, that you might run into him in the hall. The likelihood he's alone is null anywhere. I mean, there's always going to be people up his butt trying to get new land, trying to get new titles, trying to get them to not take their land or titles.
But my thought is that those opportunities will probably be explored in different loops.
Yep.
So right now he's thinking the most obvious guarantee for success, and with what limited information I have of the king's schedule that day right now, that seems the most obvious.
And in a way, too, being outside, you probably don't have much. You probably don't think you have a chance to escape, but you might be able to try, because at least you don't have to like get out of the building and then out of the castle. So I mean, you might be able to just run for it, and in the confusion, you might be able to slip away. You doubt it, but what do you think? You think there? Are you just going to stab him and stand your ground, or are you going to try and dart for it?
I think he's so focused on things that he's not.
He doesn't know.
I don't think
he's thought beyond that. Okay.
Not in the first loop.
Yep.
In the first loop, it's mostly rage, vengeance, and justification.
Now, once again, you're going against the blood oath. Would your character be upset with that? Would he want to go maybe to this area, this religious spot before to make amends, or to?
Well, would he be religious as part of this culture?
This culture is religious, and it's typically within your actions. You act religious. You might go make a sacrifice, to hedge your bets. So
okay. I mean, if it's within his cultural norm to do so, then yes. I think he would not do something to compromise the action, though. The military mind of him would probably not allow that. So he probably wouldn't go like confess if prior to the deed, if that's the thing.
Oh, Lord of Vengeance, give me the power.
No, I'm more like talking like if there were if their form of worship involves like a priest style conduit to the gods, and that you would can sacrifice sins to, i.e. like Catholic Church. He probably would not do so for fear that it would go to
that it might leak out. Yeah, no.
Right, exactly.
No, it's more of a personal relationship kind of culture where it's like, and there's actually holy men wouldn't be in a castle in this period of time. They're in the wilderness. If you want a holy man,
but even that though, I'm saying he would be fearful that might get back to.
Yeah, no, going to holy men is typically something you do more for like you want to know the future. It's less to do with like talking to the gods, but it's more oracle type of thought where it's like, let me go and see, will my attack on my neighbor work out? So when you get here, we'll say you're going to start by, and there'll probably be niceties or whatever, so you'll probably announce yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're probably going to, and this is broad stroke wise, right? Then you're probably going to go and make a sacrifice.
Okay.
And you might even lie about it too. So like, why are you making the sacrifice? To the health of the king and his betrothed. I mean, you're about to break a bigger line itself isn't really even considered a sin. So, killing the king is the bigger sin.
Of course.
But any smartly built religion, that's always bad.
And only because I've sworn an oath to him. Obviously, if I had
only because you swore an oath,
it would not be a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still killing people in this culture isn't happy. It's starting to like, we should maybe not murder people. But if you have to, you have to. It's
sorry, Your Honor, he needed killing.
It's definitely not like a Christian thing where, killing is in and of itself like a mortal sin. Most definitely not. And in the act of combat, it's considered quite legitimate. Let's see. So makes a sacrifice. And then it's kill time.
Kill time.
That's
time to kill.
Time to kill. So
why is that a joke? Kill time.
Because you have to kill time before you kill the king. You see, so.
Oh, I see. I literally thought you meant it's kill time. Like it is. It's the time to go kill him.
No, so killing time. So
gotcha. I'm literally killing time until it's killing time.
from what you're telling me, your character probably hasn't thought that out much. What exactly he's going to do? He's going to be around the castle, around maybe inside or outside the keep of the castle, but he'll be around there somewhere. Because the ceremony probably won't be until the evening. So 4, there will be a feast. Of course, you have to have a supper before a murder. And
well, I mean, who likes to murder on an empty stomach?
No one does. And then betrothal. And then
I like visions of him with a quill at a desk in his room, writing out his day. And then murder king. Dress appropriately. It is a wedding.
I don't know why, and maybe it isn't, but I see like a Harvey, oh god, like a Mel Brooks scene.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely has that feeling for me too.
Murder. So feast, betrothal, and then unknown.
Dessert maybe.
So now my thinking going through the plot and sort of where your character is, like, he's not super calculating. So he doesn't have like, I'm going to walk here at 8:15. I will walk here and walk into this initially. He's not that kind of guy. He has a basic battle plan. He knows what he wants to do. He knows when he wants to do it.
My thought is tactically, I mean, he's not an idiot, but, he's not, a master tactician either.
Yeah. But we said he's a grizzled vet. So as long as that holds through, it would make sense that this is your period of best opportunity. The king will probably be expecting it the least at this point because it's really right out in front of everyone. I mean, there's no escape, where, in the hallways, maybe you can get away before someone realizes what's happened. You can maybe hide the body. So, and this is why also typically big assassinations typically happen in these types of events, because the person being assassinated, it's easier to trick them.
It's vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah. Their overconfidence will be their undoing. So I'm thinking day one wise, you're going to accomplish exactly everything on this. And then you're going to wake up.
So you want the murder to be the impetus of reset?
No. You'll go. You'll be killed, and then it will reset. And you'll just kind of wake up like, why am I awake?
Well, I think at that point,
but day 2 is usually day of
assume
confusion.
It's a dream. You're right.
So day 1 is going to loosely follow your plot. All the things that you want to accomplish will happen. You will figure out, obviously, in day 2 that it's not really happened, or that you're being punished. We'll let you figure that out on the fly, though.
Now, how much of this after this point do you want me to know? Because I want to be able to react to it.
You want to be able to react to it.
Yeah.
What I want to do at this point is I just want to let you know we're going to go through with everything on day 1.
That's fine. And that's good because it'll mean that we can go through day 1 pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will need some scenes, though. Because like we were talking about before, you need those agitation scenes, those scenes that are quick and easy to remember, because that will add confusion to Michael's character and allow people to centralize themselves in the timing of things.
Well, the agitation scenes don't all have to be from day 1, though. Like the agitation
they do not. There has to be a couple because you need to signal to the people who are paying attention to the story when they get to day 2. Oh, that happened, which means the next thing comes up is the feast, or at the feast, the drunk guy, does something. Those things that can be altered or played with along the way. You start putting them in at that point.
Let me make a suggestion and tell me what you think of this. What if the first day, and then this would dovetail right into following days, is that he does not succeed in killing the king. So he thinks the reset is, I have to kill this guy.
Mm-hmm.
What if he attempts and fails, and then after a number of tries, so that one of the irritations could be that he's failing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he succeeds, and he still gets the reset, and that's another.
And then that's a loop. Yeah. No, because
that's another loop.
That's an easier red herring. Maybe I'll take you up to the precipice of it and kill you off. Right there at at the moment where you have your chance, you fail, and then you wake up, and then that's the easiest red herring to have, right? Is the one where I didn't do what I wanted to do. Let me keep trying to do it, and wait, it's just not working. So,
well, just the like I said, the irritation can be like him failing, and also that works right up into pushing him to want to do it even more and make sure that he succeeds because he's getting another chance to. So then when he succeeds, you think, okay, well, this is it, but that's also not it. Mm-hmm. So then you get that layer where he has to keep
almost definitely
harder and harder.
Yep. Those are what I call the red herring
moments, like, okay. Because then he could kill him a few times and still be resetting. And now he's like, well, why the hell is this day? Like, why have the gods forsaken me, so to speak? What is happening?
Yes, and it leads to your character playing off of it in their mind, trying to figure out what's going on and how to break it. We're going to say going into day one, you have no co-conspirators. You are doing this on your own. So, yeah. So do you have anything else that you can think
of? I have a couple of things, but I think I want them to be surprises to the audience.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things that I can tell you, like before we start to record this, or, maybe after we stop talking on the air today, that I think would be fun.
Awesome.
So, all right. So what else do we think we need for today?
No, that is it. I mean, that is it.
You don't want any other like specific irritating things. I think I still need to work on the character.
On the Tuesday tidbit, I'm going to start working on some of the irritating things. So on Tuesday, I'll do a little episode and I'll start talking about those, because I don't necessarily want you to know those. You'll know them when they happen, but I want them to be a little fresh for you. So don't listen to that episode.
Okay. Now, I was going to say, so I should listen to it then. I'm like, oh no, so I shouldn't listen to that. Then maybe, what I'm also going to say is leave some room to modify, or at least be open to modify, because what I'll do is I'll create the character on paper so that you have something to go specific with his personality.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yep. That way we can make it.
Yeah, because obviously some things will be generated to attack, or play into your personality, depending on the way you look at it. So, all right.
Yeah, I don't want it all just to be based on circumstances. Some of it I want to really, affect him as a person, not just because of what position he's in and what he's trying to accomplish.
Yes. And then for the world building task of the day, remember, I think the problem is we watch heist movies, and a lot of times when we put together story plots to do naughty things in games, we think that they have to be these overly complex 95-step tasks where you need 6 people with very specific skills to do things. And most of the time, that's not the way the world works. Most of the time, the way the world works is the plans are simple, sometimes messy, but that's just the way the world works sometimes. So, go ahead, when you put your plots together, you don't have to overthink the actions that have to happen. They might be complicated to do, the steps, but the sequences aren't going to be that complicated. And usually the more complicated they are, the more easily they break. Which could be the story. And now for the world building task, or for the real world task of the day, Michael, do you have one? Or do you want me to?
Real world task of the day. I don't know about your corner of the world, but the weather is getting nice here in New England. So we'll go outside, take a walk. Don't forget to smell the roses, as opposed to just always sitting at your laptop creating.
Very good. And we will. That's actually the first one we've done in a while that has actually been an actual real world task. Okay, it's probably a good idea to do this once in a while.
Yeah, get it back on track.
Everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the World Builders Anvil.
We would love it if you would share the World Builders Anvil with 2 of your friends.
And so would they.
If they are unfamiliar with podcasts, then you get to introduce them to the wonderful world of podcasting.
Take them to Stitcher or iTunes, or best of all, just send them to our website, www.gardul.com.
That's GARDUL.com.
Now strike while the mithril's hot.